Okay, we're live now. Get this out of the way. Okay, welcome to Lifespan Development. And I'm Chris Bedard. I'm the professor for the class. I think we have, or at least I think we have, a few folks. This might be your very first class in Amberton, which happens in this class a lot. Actually, pretty much every quarter I teach this class, there's always new folks that are brand new to Amberton. But we also sometimes have people that have taken several classes. So I'm going to try to talk about it, several things that both, if you're new and if you've been around a little while, hopefully will be helpful for you. I'm going to go over like all the expectations for the class, the assignments, due dates, all those things. I'm going to do all of that today. I'm also going to leave time at the end for questions that you might have. This isn't necessarily like a typical class in that it's just an introduction to the class itself. Our normal classes will be a little bit of lecture, a lot of discussion, and a lot of breakout group discussions with the students as well. So I try to do a little bit of everything for everybody. I try to hit all the learning styles as best I can. And one of the things about this class, if you have the book already, you'll notice the book is very big and the words are small. And so that means there's a lot of information. So this class really, we could do probably, I don't know, 3 10-week quarters easy on this class, just information alone. We're going to do it in 10 weeks. So I do my best to kind of hit the things that I think are going to be the most helpful for you. And our normal classes will be very clinically focused. In other words, I'm going to try to be practical. Like, here's things I see clinically. Here's some trends that are happening in the world of mental health and how that relates to our lifespan development. Keeping in mind that lifespan development itself starts at birth or conception all the way through death. So there's a lot of things that happen along the way, and we'll try to talk about as many of those as we can. There's probably no way in the world I'll talk about all of them, but I'm going to do my best to hit the ones that I think can be the most helpful. This actually is my favorite class to teach. I really like this topic a lot. I'm also pretty heavy into the neuroscience pieces of it, so we'll talk through some of those things as well. The other part that will be hopefully helpful is we're going to also kind of, as we have our classes, I'm going to break them down into, the first one's going to be childhood. Like, we're going to kind of skip through infancy, but start with like toddlerhood all the way through elementary school. The second one's going to be adolescent, kind of the adolescent world, which junior high and high school is really what we're going to focus on there. And then the third class will be adulthood. And then I don't know if I can't remember if I have 3 or 4 more classes. I can't remember. I changed a couple of things, but I'm going to go over all that in a second anyway. So basically, I'm breaking the classes down into these kind of big chunks of space and time, keeping in mind that even in childhood, there's a ton of things that happen. Obviously, in adolescence, there's a ton of things that happens, and then adulthood, there's a ton of things that happen. So we're going to talk about each of those time periods or those spans of development, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. I do my best to be practical, like I said, and I'll do my best to, answer questions as they come. What I have found in this class is we get a ton of really good questions because people are very interested in certain aspects of development. And there's definitely times where I'm like, I don't know the answer to some of these questions because they're really good questions, but I can try to help you figure it out. One thing to remember about development is just in general, human development itself really hasn't changed all that much in a long time in terms of just how we develop physically and mentally and emotionally. It hasn't changed a ton, really. However, the environment in which we live has changed massively in the last 15 to 20 years. So we have the same type of development we've always had in a totally different environment. over the last 20 years. And that's kind of interesting to me as well. And the reason why I bring that up is because clinically speaking, I think that's very important for us to remember. Let me give you an example real quick. And this is why I think lifespan development is important. We all develop mentally, have the same stages we go through, but we do it at different speeds. And things happen for us in different ways. So it's not uncommon for either someone in elementary school or high school or college or in the work world to be at a different place developmentally than other people around them. That happens all the time. But what that means is, since our culture is changing a lot and the environment around us is changing all the time, sometimes that means we have situations where people are struggling with things that might not be their fault necessarily. It might just be something that they're going through, a developmental phase that's happening to them. And we're going to talk a lot more about that as we kind of move along inside this class, because every transition from childhood, adolescence to adulthood, those are big transitions. But also inside of those developmental phases, there's little mini transitions that are happening as well. For example, when you're an adult, for the most part, even though the trends of this are kind of marriage itself, the amount of folks that are getting married has kind of lowered in the last 10 years. It's still happening. But when you get married, that's a massive transition inside of a transition, right? So adulthood itself is a transition. Then you get married, that's a transition. Then when you have kids, guess what? Another transition. So you have multiple developmental transitions happening. What I like about this book is that inside of each of these transitions and inside the book, each chapter, they talk about the cognitive development, socio-emotional development, and the mental or physical development. So you got to think about, as we develop, each one of those is developing as well. And that development itself is happening from the time we're born until we die. Even in late adulthood, we know that the brain is still fairly elastic. For example, like neurologically speaking, we know that even as we age, we can still learn, our brains can still grow, we can still do things. It just takes longer, but we can still do it because the brain is so elastic. And so we're basically developing from the time we're born until we die, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. So we're going to talk about all those things kind of as we go through. Today's class really is more, hey, here's what I'm expecting. Here's the assignments. Here's what we're going to do. I've actually made a couple of adjustments. I don't know if this was on. We've also transitioned to a new Moodle, which has also thrown me for a loop. So I've been kind of struggling to make sure I get everything updated from the old Moodle to the new Moodle. If you're brand new to Amerton, you have no idea what I'm talking about, which is awesome. Good for you. If you've been around a little while, it looks a little different, but it functions basically the same way. So what I've done on our Moodle page is I've uploaded basically everything you need to know at the top, all the general section, all of the descriptions of assignments. There's a study guide there for the midterm. I've given examples of several different things like the research paper and that type of stuff. We're going to go over all that today. I've tried to load everything that you're going to need there. And then inside each week, if there's an assignment due or we're going to have a Zoom class, I've loaded all those things there for you as well. So you should see all of those things in Moodle. Keep in mind that Moodle itself is a pretty it's a living document, so I'll make changes and I'll add things and move things around as we go. It won't be drastic, but I'll, like, if I find a video or something, I think, hey, this would be cool for you guys to watch. I'll throw it up there and you guys can check it out. Or if sometimes I find like one year, this happened with the class I was teaching. We kind of got into attachment theory really heavily, and so I put up an adult attachment inventory that people took. So I've done things like that. It depends on the class, depends on what we're talking about. So I'll put things on Moodle so you can see them as well. Okay. Now let me stop talking And let's start talking about what we're going to do for the class. So there's a document that I have up on Moodle that says important due dates. I'm sorry, guys, I've been dealing with this respiratory thing. So every once in a while, I sound like a 13-year-old boy going through puberty. Okay. So I've put a document up that just has important due dates there for you to see. This basically just kind of highlighting due dates for you so you'll know when things are due. Um, all the exercises, the midterm, the paper, and then all our Zoom class times is all on that document. The reason why I bring that up is because that'll be important to just kind of refer to. If you just want to have it, I actually print one out myself and have it on my wall over here so I can see when things are due, because I'm teaching multiple classes and have things due at different times. And so I just put that up there for you to kind of see it like a quick view type thing. Let's talk about the exercises first. And there's a couple of things on Moodle. One, there's like there's a document called exercises that just describes what I'm looking for when you do the exercises. And then there's also a PowerPoint slide, and I'm actually going to pull that up. I think I've already got it. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. There we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick. Man, that's going to shrink everyone down, and then I have to make it bigger. Okay, so this is just a picture. I just took a screenshot of what these review, connect, reflect sections look like in the book. So if you have the book already, you can open it up to any chapter in the book, and there'll be 2 or 3, maybe 4 of these little review, connect, reflect sections inside of them. So every chapter has 2 or 3 or 4. I think this is from I want to say this is the very first one, maybe from infancy, I think. So basically what these are in the book, these are set inside each chapter periodically to kind of recap what you've just read or what you're learning about. And the reason they do that, and the reason the author does it, I think, is because there's so much information. And it's more helpful sometimes to kind of have these places where you're like, okay, let's stop and kind of go over what you just learned, review it a little bit. So there'll be questions in there that the author will ask. Connect it to either an example from your experience or an example that they give, and then a reflection section, which is basically exactly what it says. Hey, talk about XYZ thing as it relates to whatever whatever you've been reading about. And so, like I said, these are just kind of laid out periodically in each chapter. What I've done is I'm using these sections for our exercises. Okay, so when you go to turn in an exercise, basically what you're going to do is you're going to take I don't really, it doesn't really matter to me where you take these sections from. It's easier, I think, to just do the sections that, like, as you read through the chapters, to just pick them out as you read. I do have some students that jump around in the book. Um, I don't know if that's awesome to do, but some people do that. Some people have in the past kind of jumped around from, instead of reading all about infancy, maybe they jump to childhood. It's really up to you how you do it. But when you come across these sections, you can pick any of these review, connect, reflect sections you want. I don't care which ones. And then basically you're going to answer the questions in the sections. Okay. Let me show you. I'm going to show you one thing. This will make more sense when I pull it up. Okay. This is just that exercise page, the exercise document in Moodle. Okay. So there's two parts to the exercise. The first part you turn into me. It's where you're literally just answering whatever's in those sections. Okay. You're going to pick two of these for every assignment, right? So if you're reading a chapter and it has 3 review, connect, reflect sections, you can just pick 2 of them, right? You don't have to do all, you're not doing every section in every chapter. You're only doing 2 per assignment. Okay. There's 4 exercise assignments. So at the end, you'll do how many? 8.
8.
Thank you. Here's why I'm saying that. For some reason, this confuses people. Okay. So if you're watching this recording, you're going to do 2 of these sections per assignment. In the end, you would have turned in 8 sections to me. Okay. 2 per assignment. There's 4 exercises. You're doing 2 of these sections per exercise. All right. That's the first part. The second part's pretty simple. You go on the forum, and I've put a question or I've made a statement and asked a question or something like that. And you're just answering that question that I put on the forum that corresponds with the exercise, right? So there's an exercise part A that you turn into me, and then the forum part that you're just going and posting your answer to whatever question I ask. And then you're also reading and posting remarks or comments on other students' forum posts. This is a way that we can kind of create a little bit of community in an online class. And actually, the forums are really, I think they're really, I mean, in the past, this has been really neat to watch because, we're going to share different things, different perspectives, different experiences, different thoughts. And I think it's very helpful. And the forums generally in the past have been really good. If we were in a class, which I'm actually teaching this class in person for the first time in 4 years in the summer, if we were in a class, we wouldn't do that. We'd just talk with each other, right? I just say, hey, here's a couple questions, and we talk together. Well, that's exactly what we're doing, just doing it in an electronic fashion. Okay. So the first part, you answer all the questions in the exercise. You turn that into me. Okay. And then the second part, you post on the forum and make comments from other students. Here's an example of what, and this is all on the document on Boodle. Here's an example of what the exercise can look like. Okay. So you're going to have, you're going to do this twice. Please put your name on it. That's super helpful. If you don't have your name, I don't know who you are. And believe it or not, sometimes people forget their names. You're going to put your name on it. You're going to just put lifespan development exercise number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whichever one it is. Review, connect, reflect, chapter. I just put this chapter 1, infancy, page 5, whatever. It could be chapter 10, adolescence, page, 320. Just depends on where you get this actual section from. You do the review part, the connect part, and the reflect part. You do that twice. Okay. I need you to label it. That way I know where you got it and that you did it correctly. Here's a couple of mistakes that people make. They don't pay attention to what I just talked about, and they don't read what I just laid out, and they just go in there and just write something from the book randomly. And then I give them a 0 and I send it back, and they got to redo the whole thing. Right? I send things back so you can redo it. I don't automatically fail you. Now, why do I do that? Because I want you to learn. I'm not here to like fail people. I'm here to help you learn about it. Right? So if you do something wrong, and it's really wrong, I'll send it back, say, hey, let's try again. Here's what I'm looking for. Let's do it this way. And then you redo it, send it back to me. Does that make sense? In lifespan development, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, the best way we learn is what? Through our mistakes, through things we mess up. This is called human development. That's how human beings learn. So I'm literally taking that theory and putting it into practice in this class. If you mess up on something, I'm going to send it back. Hey, let's try again. Right? Let's do it different this time. That's how we learn. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Hey, major ADHD just kicked in.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, just right quick, tell me what the mistake people make on this and
So
what we should be doing. Sorry.
yeah, most people don't do anything with it. When there's a mistake made, people don't listen to what I've just said or read the instructions. They literally just go in and they'll just write something like, I've had people just write about randomly about infancy and give me highlights of infancy that don't have anything to do with the assignment. They don't look at the review, connect, reflect sections at all. They don't use it as a template. They just randomly write something. Does that make, like, that's not even the assignment?
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
Does that make sense? That's why I basically have given you like, hey, here's what it looks like. Here's the template you use to write it up. It's just a short answer, kind of short essay-ish these assignments, 2 to 3 pages at the most. Okay. Don't give me 10 pages, please. Don't just like go on and on. I am a like, if you can say it in 2 words, don't use 10. That's me. That's how I am. So I've got about 100 pages to grade per semester in all my classes. And at some point, I'm gonna be like, dude, you could have answered this a long time ago, right? This isn't, in other words, this isn't like, if this was a theories class and we needed to kind of talk through like what was going on, that'd be different. We'd be talking, we'd be writing more. This is pretty straightforward. Okay. Does that make sense? So 2 to 3 pages, that's all I need. That's perfect.
For the since you have to do two of them, do
Mhm.
you want it just like on the same like document, I guess? Like
Yes.
when we turn it
Yes.
in, like there's not going
Yes.
to be two separate turn-in spots.
Nope. It's gonna look just like this. And it'll be 2 of them. So
Okay,
here's
and then
one
so the 2 to 3 pages is for like total, like
total.
okay.
Absolutely. Like here's one and here's one. Same document, right?
Okay.
Great question. That's a great question. Here's another problem. Now I haven't tried this in new Moodle yet. In old Moodle, you could only upload one document. I don't even know if you can do it in new Moodle. I don't really want you to though, because then I got to keep up with it. I don't want to keep up with all that. So just one document. Great question.
Are you looking for any type of format like APA or double spaced, or what are you looking for there?
I don't care as much about the APA on this particular assignment because I know where you're getting information from. And it's really just a short answer kind of thing. So you don't need to cite it or give a reference page or anything like that. Because I know where you're getting information. Does that make sense? The APA will come into play when we talk about the research paper, when we get over to that. So good question.
Like double space, just standard double space 12 font.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just standard formatting is perfect. Yeah. I did have someone do it in like, what's the font that's like looks like cursive? I don't know what it's called. It's really hard to read. I know that. Everything blends together. Yeah, just regular standard. That'd be great. Just FYI, while APA's been brought up, the library, I don't know if anyone's been on the library site lately. They've done some really cool things there in the past 6 months. There's actually several really good videos about research now, about APA style. There's some good some things that they've done there with that. That's the library has become a really helpful resource, I think. I use it actually. They walk you through how to do research, how to find articles if that's what you're looking for, that type thing. So I would really encourage you to go over there and kind of check that out. It's easy to walk through. The videos are really well done. If you're ever on the Garland campus and want to go in and visit with them, they are super helpful, super helpful. So, but I don't know many people that want to fight through 635 traffic to go to the Garland campus. That's really hard right now. That just so you know that our exit to our campus has been blocked. There, Northwest Highway, that exit's been blocked. They said it was supposed to be for 2 years, and that was 4 years ago. I mean, it's like, have y'all ever been over there? That's crazy over there. Yeah, it's nuts. Okay, this is the exercises. Everybody got it? All right, so how many review, connect, reflect sections do we do per exercise? Two.
Two.
Two. Thank you. All right. And the first one is due, I want to say the 16th, which
Yes, the
is
16th.
that next week? Woo, y'all gotta hurry. Y'all gotta get to work. It'll be next week.
When something's due, is that
Mhm.
I haven't looked at like the document you have of the dates, but is it like at midnight or 8
Anytime.
a.m.?
Yeah, anytime.
Just before midnight, I guess then.
Yeah. Just turn
Okay.
it in anytime. Yeah. Just here's a
Or early, but
yeah, here's a note for those of you that have had other classes, other professors. You'll learn, but all of us have different styles. And some professors are like, turn this document in by 8 a.m. on the 16th, and some are kind of like turn it in by midnight. I'm super flexible. I'm very, very flexible about a lot of things. I just turn it in anytime that day. If you want to turn it in early, you can do that. You can turn it in anytime. Okay, doesn't matter to me. That's for any assignment. All right, good question.
And I'm sorry, I walked away. Do you want us to turn it in through Moodle or email it to you?
Always Moodle. Yeah,
Okay.
you can just upload it right straight to Moodle. Yeah. So let me take a quick pause. How many here right now, this is your very first class at Amberton?
It is mine.
Quite a few. Okay. How many of you, this is your first class in any academic setting for a while? Okay. I feel you. I went back to school with two young kids in my late 30s, and I thought, what the hell just happened? Okay. Now I had to go in person. Now this is back, old days when you go in person, the olden times. And well, actually I had to take I had my master's program was four classes per semester. I took 12 hours every semester, and we read about 100 pages every class per week. I had 5 to 10 page papers due every week, and I was like, what? I was like, this is crazy. And I literally got out of all my training and said, if I ever teach adults that are going through real adult life, I would never do that to my students. So I have been where you are. Um, I did my master's. I started my master's when I was 30. Well, my daughter was born the first week of my master's program. So I was 36. And I finished and I went straight to my PhD in my late 30s, early 40s. We had 2 kids, moved to Lubbock, did 3 years in Lubbock, and then moved to the DFW area. So I have been where you are. I understand how to juggle your adult life that doesn't end, your job, family, like that's and school. So I get it. So I'm going to do my best to try to be mindful of that as we work through things. If this is your first time at Amberton, Amberton itself is mainly only designed for adult learners. I mean, that's how we started. That's what we do. And so we do our best to kind of help folks as much as we can. If you have trouble, if you're struggling, please reach out. Don't struggle in silence. Reach out. Ask for help. That's why we're here. Um, is anyone here taking more than 2 classes? Oh my gosh. Angela's crazy. First time back, taking 3 to more than 2 classes. You're in a hurry, huh? You're ready to get done.
I'm ready.
Okay. So if something happens and you guys start struggling, just let me know. Okay. All the professors are very accommodating. Don't ever hesitate to reach out. All right. Again, our job is not to like sit here and fail people. It's actually to create better mental health providers. That's why we're here. I don't know if you guys know it, but we are in dire need of mental health providers for all ages. I have several older adult clients right now. Every age is struggling. So we need good mental health providers. So that's why we're here, is to help you guys get to where you can help people. All right. So here's my famous saying. I say it in all my classes. If you don't like people, this is not your profession. You need to like people, and you need to like all kinds of people, and you need to like all kinds of the stuff people do. because people do crazy stuff. All right. But that's why we're here. Okay. So, welcome. If this is your first class, this is a pretty good first class, I think. Technically, I think your first class should have been research methods. That's going to help you the most with all your classes, but it's too late. We're already here. That's okay. Okay. So let's talk about I want to talk about the exam. So we have one exam. It's a midterm exam. Y'all are lucky. I used to give a final exam as well. I don't do that anymore. We're going to do a midterm exam. There is a study guide on Moodle for the midterm exam. If you complete that study guide, you will find that the questions on the exam and the study guide are suspiciously similar. Okay? There's only 25 questions on the midterm. The study guide has a lot more questions than that. What is usually helpful is use the study guide and fill in the study guide as you read. You're reading it, you're being asked questions in the study guide, and you're kind of using that to help you read and study the material. So if you do that, you'll be in good shape. Okay? The midterm itself, I believe, let's see, make sure I tell you the right thing. The midterm, let's see, the midterm itself is April 12th. So that's a Friday. It'll open. It's online, and it'll close on the 17th at 11:59 at night, actually. So you have several days to take it. You won't need several days. You'll be able to finish it in one setting. This is the last semester that the midterm's only 25 questions. So you guys are, I'm just like giving you guys stuff. Like I'm just literally like giving you easy stuff right here. The next time it's going to be 100 questions, but this one's going to be 25. So April 12th through the 17th, it's an online exam. You'll click the link on Moodle. It'll take you to the online exam site. You'll create a username and password, put your information in, and then off you go. You can take the exam. If you want to stop during the exam time, you can stop. Just log out, and it'll stop your time and save your spot. And then you can log back in and pick up where you left off. And I'm going to talk about this more when we get closer because everybody's going to forget this. That's okay. Most people just finish it in one setting. It's only 25 questions. And I'm telling you, they come, I mean, it's suspicious how close the study guide and the exam questions are. I mean, they're very similar. So if you do this study guide, you're going to be good. Okay?
What kind of questions are on the exam? Is it like all written or is it like multiple choice?
Great question. All multiple choice. I'm not going to lie. Some of the questions are hard, though, because some of them are application questions. Why would I do that? Well, when we get to the end of your time, I actually teach the Practicum 2 class where if you're an LPC, that's your last class before you graduate. When you take the national exam, that exam is difficult because it's all application. So I do some application-based exams just because of that. All right, that's where, here's what I mean. When you look at the exam, most of the time with questions, you can kind of get rid of one or two of the answers because it's like those don't make sense. There's usually two that could be right? And that's when you got to use your thinking cap and kind of be like, hey, what about, it could be this or this. That's what I mean by application-based. Okay? Good. Any other questions about the exam? There's a link there now, but it's not open. The exam's not open yet, so. Okay. All right. Oh, man. Okay, let's talk about the paper. And again, there's document online. The paper. And I have got, I don't have it up here right now, but I've got an example of the only 100 I've ever given on any paper. I'm going to put it up. I'll put it on Moodle today. I thought I put it up. I did not, but I'll put that up. I've got an example of a paper, and the reason it got 100 is the information is really good and they organized it well, and they just did a really good job. And so the paper is a couple of different things. First and foremost, like 80% of the paper is research based. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to pick a stage of development, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, or some age group inside of those stages. Doesn't matter to me where. Then you're going to pick basically a disorder or an issue that occurs in that stage. For example, a lot of people do right now, like suicidal ideation in adulthood or suicidal ideation in adolescence. And you can be even more specific than that if you wanted to. ADHD in, in that elementary childhood time frame, or adulthood, because actually the highest level of diagnoses of ADHD right now is happening in adulthood, for example. That's something that's been happening for a while. So that would be something. Dementia in older adulthood, that type thing. I've had people talk about corporal punishments. I've had people talk about the effects of divorce. Any issue that you can kind of think of or disorder, my suggestion would be kind of think about an issue or a disorder that's probably got a lot of research behind it. Like the ones I just mentioned, there's mounds of research. Like you won't have any trouble finding information about them. Okay. 8 times out of 10, people pick things that they're kind of already interested in, like things that kind of are important to them, which is great. You can do that. The other 2 out of the 10 pick something they never thought about or heard of before and kind of want to learn something. It doesn't matter to me which way you go. You can do it whichever way you want. And sometimes what happens, like as we go through our classes, like I'll talk about something and that kind of piques people's interest too. You might do it that way. It's really up to you. We have a little time. This is week 1 of 10, so you don't have to figure it out all right now. But by week 5, you probably need to have a good idea of which direction you want to go. Because the research part, here's what that means. You're going to you can use the book as a source, which is fine, but you're going to need 3 more sources outside the book. To me, the best way to do that would be to use 3 articles from peer-reviewed journals as sources. I have had students use books, which is okay, but articles are easier because I kind of get to the point quicker for you. Okay. So you can use the book as a source, but you're going to need 3 more. So you're going to need 4 sources total. All right. The sources will be used mainly to discuss the disorder that you picked and the treatment that's used in that disorder or issue. Now, why would we talk about that? Because eventually, you as clinicians will be treating folks with these issues or disorders. So go ahead and start thinking about what model of therapy people use, or is there a treatment protocol that people use for certain things? So those sources will give you that information. The book will talk about it really lightly, not really specifically. Okay, it talks about some disorders, but you're going to use the book mainly to talk about, and you'll see this in the write-up for the paper. The book you'll get, you're going to write out basically, hey, here's the basic overview of the stage that I picked. Here's the exact stage that I picked, and here's the disorder I picked, and here's what happens inside this disorder, and here's how people treat it. but you're going to use those articles really for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is there anyone here that has never written a research paper at all? Or maybe hadn't written one in a long time? Probably some. I'm assuming most everyone's written at least a couple. Okay. All right. Randy.
Is this something you changed? I saw in the syllabus you were talking about 5 to 8 references. Is that something you were talking about that you changed? So now
Yeah,
it's 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's 4 total. Three outside and 1 can be the book.
All right, very good.
Yeah. The reason why I changed it is because the rule of thumb in graduate school is always like when you're writing a research paper, it's 1 page per source. That's a general rule of thumb. So if I say have 8 sources, I'm going to get 8 or 10 pages. This paper can be done, I think, between 4 and 6 pages. That means some people are going to write 12. I know that that's going to happen. That's okay. But if I said 8 to 10, I'm going to get 15. And that's just a lot of y'all eventually want your final grade, right? So, I got to read them all, and I read them all. I read it too. So, 4 to 6 pages. I think on the guidelines there, the document, it says 5 to 8 references, but just 4 references is fine. If you want to do that many, we do have some people that do 5 or 6 references, like really get into the topic. That's fine, but 4 references is fine. 1's the book, and then 3 outside. Okay. The second part of this paper, the 20% part, is the reflection part. And so that's the, there's some questions. Hang on. I think what I did, here's what I did. I put the wrong, so disregard what I put on Moodle. I'm going to put the right thing. I've got the wrong guidelines up here. The general guidelines are right. What I'm missing is I've actually asked some specific questions on the reflection part. They're listed right here in this as bullet points, but I've actually numbered them, so it's a little bit easier. So did your opinion change about this topic? Everyone has a theory about different things. When you look it up, hey, I'm interested in this. Did you learn anything? Is there something you'd like to learn more about when it comes to this topic? That's your reflection part. And that's just 20% of the paper. Okay. The reason why I like to have reflection sections in pretty much all of my assignments is when you're taking in a lot of information, we need to have a way to synthesize it, process it, and kind of regurgitate it, so to speak. And the way we will try to do that is through these reflections. And we're going to do this in class too. Like in our class time, we're going to do this too, as we process information. How we process things is very important as human beings, but also how we process information is very important as clinicians. As you're listening to someone talk, you're processing what they're saying. You're thinking about the content, you're looking at nonverbals, you're thinking about, okay, how, what things are happening, how can I help? You're also thinking, what questions do I need to ask, or what questions can I ask next? You're doing 5 or 6 things at once as you're listening to people talk. So it's super helpful to start learning how to process information. Does that make sense? Sometimes that just kind of happens normally. The more experience you get clinically, it starts to just become automatic. Like right now, I just do it all the time. Like I say, even in my family. So what you're saying is, I just say that to people, even though, and my family's like, stop being they're like, don't, stop therapizing me. This isn't therapy. Like my kids tell me that all the time. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just like, when I'm at Chick-fil-A now, or am I out and about and I hear people fighting, I'm like, let me see what they're talking about. Let me hear what they're saying. I do it all the time because you just get used to that type of thing, and for me, it's like, I just want to, man, if I could help these people. Now, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to jump in, but I'm like, man, I could probably help them. Like I watch some of these TV shows with all these kind of crazy people, and I'm like, man, if I could just spend like a month with them, I could probably help them. They could pay me like $10,000. That'd be awesome, you know? But that's why we're here, is to learn. And how we learn is by researching some of these topics, especially things that are interesting to you. And we also reflect on like what we're learning and how we're learning and what things kind of popped up to us. Because a lot of times in every class you're in, you're going to hear something, you're going to go, oh, shoot, I never thought about that. Or I didn't know why that happened. Grab that and kind of like synthesize it, use it. Okay. Randy.
Yes, those reflections, are those supposed to be like on a separate document, obviously, just kind of
So-
like,
All the same document.
I mean, just like after all the research is done, you just continue straight into it? Okay.
And I'll show you, I'm going to put the example paper up here today. I'll show, so you can see exactly what
Okay.
this person did.
Because are we going from like objective to all of a sudden first person?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Very
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Which means that reflection part, you don't need to worry about APA because that's just you. That's just you.
Right. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. But you're just, okay.
Unless you quote someone, like sometimes people quote a saying, like, hey, as I was reading this and I started reflecting on it, I thought about this quote from, like I got I don't know if you guys have read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Someone quoted that book and they, you cite that. If you know what I'm saying? Like if you quote something in your reflection, you would cite it. Anything that you write in a paper, like a research form paper, that's not your idea, you have to quote it. You have to cite it, not quote it. You have to cite it. Sometimes you put it in your own words. Sometimes it's a direct quote. If you don't do that, then what's that? That's plagiarism, right? Taking credit for something that's not yours, right? I tell students all the time, I'd rather you oversight than undercite. That's just better. Because if you think about it, especially if it's a topic you don't know that much about, you're not giving no one's paying to want to know what you think. They want to know what these people think that have studied like their whole life. Now, when it is important for people to know what you think is when you're in the therapy room sitting across from people. They do want to know because they're wanting help. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Awesome. Now,
And
we got
what's the
about
due date on the paper?
due date
I'm
is May
assuming it's
11th.
like the last week.
May 11th. I think the end of school is the 23rd. No, I'm sorry. The 16th. So the due date is the 11th. So it's the last Saturday of the semester. So it's actually, I think that's 10 weeks from today, maybe. I want to say. Okay. Now, any questions about anything? We have 9 minutes.
Yeah, this might be a dumb question.
No,
I'm just guessing for the exercises, each week lines up with the chapter that we're in, right? So like week 1, chapter 1.
not really. Because everybody,
Okay, so
yeah.
not a dumb question.
No, not a dumb question. No, you can read the book at whatever pace you want.
Mhm.
Hang on one second.
I'm wondering for the exercises. So for like exercise 1, should that be the reflections from chapter 1?
Could be any chapter you're in at the time.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If some people are, some people might read a chapter a week, some people might read more. It really depends on where you're at. It doesn't really, that's why it doesn't matter to me where the reflections or where the exercises come from. Any chapter is fine.
awesome.
I have got, yeah, see, I tried to transfer all my stuff from old Moodle to new Moodle and I'm missing some stuff. So I'm going to put this on here. I've got a suggested reading schedule for people that I'll put that on here today as well. So you can have that. And I'll, so that might help too.
Awesome, thank you.
So yeah, good question. So basically you can read this book at your own pace, But I've also, for people that like a little more structure, you can just kind of follow this. I'm actually going to put it on there right now as we're talking. You can follow this suggested plan as soon as I find it. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll put it on there in a second. So you can follow this structured plan if you like. It's really up to you guys, however you want to do it. And I'm not going to check your reading. And when we do our classes, it's not going to be me regurgitating what you just read. We're going to talk about like things that are happening, like practical things. I'm going to go over some information for sure, and I'll answer questions and things like that. But I'm going to spend most of my time looking at practical things. Angelica.
Yes, so for the midterm includes the questions related to the all 20 chapters.
Just the first half, I think the first 10 chapters.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's 10. It's either 9 or 10, I can't remember. Yeah.
So on the I haven't looked at what you put it on Moodle, but like the old syllabus, like for every week there was one exercise and then the forums due the next week, but they're like due at the same time now, right?
Let's see. What did we do?
And it didn't have due dates on it anyway, but it was just like exercise one you do in the first week and then you
Yeah, the
take a break and do a forum the next week, but it's
Yeah,
just all the same week now.
No, the forums are due a week after the exercise is due.
Okay.
So you basically turn in the exercise, you have a week to do the forum post. Does that make sense? I'm not a big fan of some aspects of Moodle, and this is one of them. That's why I do the due dates document, because the due dates document's got dates for when everything's due, the exercises and the forum.
Okay.
I mean, I could do it on here, but I mean, they're basically a week apart. See, a week starts on Saturday and ends on Friday. So can be a little confusing. Does that help, or did I make it worse? Hopefully that's okay.
And then again, the exercises can come from anything you're reading at the time.
Yep. It can be anywhere, anything. Absolutely. I was going to say one more thing. On the one of the weeks, I don't know which week it's going to be. It's either going to be our next class or the one on the 13th. Okay. I'm going to spend part of one of the classes talking specifically about emotional development for a reason, because in the clinical world, emotions we kind of live inside of them, and we need to know kind of enough information about them. So I'm basically going to condense, decades of emotional research into, 30 minutes. I'll just give you some highlights. And I do that on purpose. And I think I'll probably do that. I will probably do that the first class on the 23rd when we meet. This is important what I'm about to say, and I just realized it just now. Well, I know why this happened. I'm actually moving to a new house, and we're supposed to actually move on April 13th when we're supposed to have a class, and I'm fairly certain my wife would kill me if I say, hey, I need to teach this class instead of move. So that date, the April 13th class date, is going to move. I'm not sure when, but I'll let you know that like this week. I'll tell you when that's going to move. So if you're watching the recording, hopefully you made it this far. April 13th, we will not have a class. I'm going to move that class it'll be the same topic. I'm just going to move it to a different day. Okay. Any other questions about anything?
Yeah, that date will be a Saturday, because I swear I looked up something and it said the 13th was actually on the 17th, which is a different day. And I was like, that's the one question I was going to have.
Yeah, the
I think it was
third,
the 17th is actually the 27th. I had the same
Okay,
thing.
okay.
yeah, April 27th is the last one. I think what I'm gonna probably do is move them back. Like, I'll probably end up moving everything back a week or something like that. I'll figure it out, but I'm gonna probably move everything back. All the classes will be on a Saturday. Yeah, everything's on a Saturday from 9 to 11. And I realize some people have Saturday classes, and that's okay. I'll record these just like today, and you can watch them. Any other questions? I'm the greatest communicator that's ever communicated.
What happens if we like miss a class for some reason? Like, is it their attendance or
No, no. I mean, if you, I would suggest just listen to the recording if you miss something. Um, I mean, technically, we don't really even have to have these Zoom classes. And before COVID, this would be an online class, and we would never do this. That we just you just have the material and you just kind of self-teach. Right? Since COVID, I've just started doing this, so there's no way to take attendance. Like people that are on this call right now, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what you guys. I mean, could be eating lunch or something and just have it on. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know what people are doing, so there's no attendance. If you miss it, that's okay. No big deal. Like there's people missing right now because I know some people that have a Saturday class today, and so it's no problem. No problem at all. Any other questions?
What other
Okay,
classes do you teach?
whatever they tell me to. Right now, I'm teaching this and practicum 2. In the past, I've taught counseling assessment and professional counseling, which is that name is changing. The techniques class. I've taught a bunch of different ones. We kind of it kind of depends on the semester, what's going on. But I
Do
usually,
you happen to know what you're going to be teaching? I know this is way ahead for the summer.
yeah, I'm teaching this class in person, and I'm teaching practicum 2, and I'm teaching one other one that I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. When does that even come out? When can y'all see like when things
Hey,
are,
it's a way. It's a way. I'm sure it's a ways, man.
I think it's April 12th.
April 12th?
Yeah.
That sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah, see, I do these syllabi, like I'm doing the syllabi for the summer right now. That's why some things change when it gets, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll do like a basic syllabus 3 months before. Sometimes I change some stuff, so that's why it changes a little bit. Yeah.
Hey, personal note: did you go to grad school, Matt, up at Lubbock Tech?
I went to Abilene Christian for my master's, and then I went to Texas Tech for my PhD.
Oh, PhD, right on. Okay, I got my undergrad there, so Red Raider
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, guns up. Or don't
Yeah.
say that in public though, get people going.
Well, man, I'm embarrassed about all the tech stuff right now, so I'm just gonna lay low.
We can't be
You're an,
embarrassed about everything. It's all right.
you're an almost Christian university guy also?
Yeah, man. I have 3 degrees from there. I really
You
wanted to
get your
go there.
bachelor?
I have a bachelor's in marriage and family therapy. I was a youth pastor before I did this.
Okay.
And
If you're a
then
youth pastor, you definitely weren't a subber then, sub T16.
I was not. But I had a lot of friends that were. A lot of my good friends.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have I got my master's in Christian education, which is now something else. It's called, I don't even know what it's called. It's called something different. And then I have a marriage and family therapy degree from there as well. So, and then my PhD from Texas Tech. So here's a short, quick story. I failed out my second semester of college ever when I was 19. I had a 1.4 GPA and thought I'd never go back to school. And now I have a PhD and I'm talking to you guys. So you never know what's going to happen. All right, I've got another class and you guys got stuff to do. So go do something else. I'm going to load some more stuff up on Moodle so you can see it. For those that are watching the recording, it'll be up to by tomorrow, which doesn't matter now because you're already watching it. So I will see everyone in our next class on the 23rd. Is that right? 23rd Yeah. I'll see everyone
There's
else on
not
the
one
23rd.
next Saturday?
No,
Oh,
no. Yeah, we'll meet on the 23rd. And then I'm going to change the dates for the 13th for sure. I'll probably just move it back or something, but I'll let everyone know. All right. Winifred, you had a question, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I know I'm not saying that it's redundant because I think you just said it. So we have compulsory classes then. For
We have
this last
we have
fall,
we have 3 more classes.
three, okay,
Yeah.
3 more classes,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep. Yep.
thank you.
All right. Everyone have a good Saturday. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.